Eric, this is a game I'm making called the God Killer live coding session. I'm going to show that game off a little bit at the beginning here, and then I'll dive into the particular thing that I'm working on right now, which is creating my own explosions. So, if you're watching this on from the archive or recording, and you want to in the future join me in a live session, try to hit me Monday through Thursday around 6, starting around 6, ending around 8, and that's Pacific Standard Time. And it'll just be a regular live coding session, but I start off each one with a little demo in case people kind of want to see where the project's at, but don't want to watch me type in code. And I don't blame anyone that is not into that. I know it's not for everyone. On Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I also have God Killer Gamedev Sundays, and these are tasks which are not coding, but still related to making the game, like level design, artwork, things like that. So you could join me Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you are into that. Alright, let me show you what I've been up to. So I had a lot of stub art in the game for the longest time, and I needed to get a lot of other work done before I was willing to even look at changing the stub art. And now I've got these new models that are pretty close to the final look of what I want. The main character, M, I spent some time on her. And that's what she looks like up close, but you rarely see the characters this close while you're actually playing the game. It's more of a way up here kind of view. I'll show you a demo of it so you can see what that looks like. Alright, so with the broadcasting software, the OBS going at the same time, I always have a lot of slowness with the frame rate when I start up. Actually, it's not doing too bad. I won't apologize too much for it. Okay, so this game, for people who don't know what it is, it's a top-down puzzle-solving game. When you move, the whole world moves with you, and not until you move. So you could say it's turn-based, except that sort of implies that you're going to plan out a command for a turn and then hit a button that says it's time to start the next turn. This is more like each turn is just instantly carried out, so I call it a stepping game. So there's a lot of new animations here. There's the walking animation, which is just one step at a time. There's a punching animation. If I go south, M punches these guys, kills them. There's left and right versions of those animations. There's flinging, which is a thing you can do. Instead of walking, you can move all the way in one direction. That works like that. There's some other animations too. I won't go through them all, I guess. But the next thing I wanted to get to was a sort of explosion, a kind of disintegration effect. I thought it would be a disintegration effect. Then I thought it would be more of a dissolve, and then I thought maybe it'd be more like a materialization, dematerialization type of a thing. I thought maybe like the mesh just kind of falls to pieces. And I played with a number of third-party shaders, and I just didn't like them. I didn't like what I was seeing. And what I'm going for now is something like a techie explosion. Like in an aesthetic similar to the movie Tron, I would like to create something kind of like a digital particle effect, where the individual particles are cuboids, or they're extra blocky looking, or voxels, if you will. That white thing that's off in the middle part here, that's basically the start of this effect that I'm working on. It's just sitting there because I'm working on it. It's not tied up with code that would make it execute automatically. So I'll show you what I've been doing with that, because that is the edge of my work right now. All right, I'll quit playing around with those guys. But oh yeah, well, I will show like what's lacking that I want to fix maybe this session. Okay, so let me see if I can get to a point where I'll be able to kill one of them. So when you push these guys, they go flying, but if they have nowhere to be pushed, like right here. So if I keep on pushing north, this character will die. But the idea here is that we want to see some kind of particle effect when this guy dies. And right now, he will just, he'll disappear, and then you might have seen, it was really fast, a trail that showed his movement where he went off down to the respawn point, basically. This egg thing. So whenever something dies in this world, they immediately respawn from the egg. So I want to add like an explosion of particles when somebody dies, whether it be me, the player, or one of these enemies. Okay, so let's get to that. So here's what it looks like. This explosion effect. It's made up of these things that I just call them quads. They're like voxels maybe, or quadroids, I think is the geometry definition of it. And I have like some different effects here for how they can explode. This is the one I'm favoring a lot. It's horizontal slice. Kind of like that. I can do some other variations. There's a vertical one. And this I coded from scratch. After I got kind of tired of looking at third-party things that weren't exactly what I wanted. So I've got some different effects here. The in-place one, it'll just kind of disappear to nothing. And then Omni will just kind of go out in all directions. You can change the distance it disperses to make it more subtle. But that's basically it. So the next thing I was going to do was to start hooking this up so that it can be used when one of these guys dies. Okay. So I had this conceit when I was writing this, that maybe it was going to be so general purpose that I could use it in all kinds of different places. And it's not the best way to get a lot of code written. It's better to just think about what my project needs and be writing to that. So these different types of explosions I'm thinking about, like what are the actual types of cases I want to handle. Those are okay if we're just kind of playing around, but I'll probably delete them and just put in what the game actually uses. So there is squashing against wall, squashing against floor, disintegrate from beam. There's different ways that you can die, or the enemies can die. Flung. Okay, let's see. Spikes from horizontal. Let's say walk onto spikes. Fling through spikes. Fall onto spikes. Squash against ceiling. So you squash against, see, some of these are directional, meaning like the north, south, west, east direction matters. I'll say more specifically cardinal direction. Okay. So lots of different ways you can die. It's always down. Down. Up. I might make another one called directional or cardinal. Alright, so I'm not going to hook this up right away after all. Instead, I'm going to make sure I get the animations right for the different cases. Okay. So I've got these functions that they calculate the final position of each one of those quads. The quads are like those things like voxels. Let's just do it like this. Or actually, no. I actually need to rotate. So if I just move it forward on Z, I could use rotation to make it go in the different directions that I want. This type of code's actually pretty fun to write. Okay. So that should be enough for me to be able to see something. So my hope is that the quads will move off in this direction, but usually the first thing I try is not doing it. So let's see. Oh, that's vertical slice. Cardinal. I think it just stayed in place more or less. Oh, did I forget to okay. So I just gotta say plus apparently. And let's change this to multiply by the dispersal distance. And I might as well call the initial direction north. That's what I like to see. Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. I kind of like that. So one thing I think that'll make it visually a little more interesting is if I have some alternating colors here. So I'm thinking that I will create like one extra texture. Not texture, material. Yeah, make this one a little darker. All the little bits I'll make that darker color. Cool. Also, I suppose these guys should not be casting shadows. I don't know. Maybe they should. Okay. Do the part about updating the orientation or the facing direction. Remembering things that I need to do, and it makes me jump around. Or Maybe not. It's not things I need to do. It's more like refactoring for performance or to be more dry. So I know that I've got some code that looks up the offset transform. I don't want it to get called too often. You could call this premature optimization, I suppose. Okay, I'm definitely doing some hobgoblin type stuff here. There's a quote about foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. I'm probably off a little bit on that quote, but that's the basic idea of it. So let's see. Find offset transform. Okay, and I'm just going to say update positions. Was going to set that. I feel like I introduced a bug someplace. Get quads, make sure that's okay, that's all fine. I've written this code before. All right, whatever. Whatever. I was gonna do a nice lookup array, but it's way too much premature optimization. Just say case direction south. Let's see, north 0 return 0 case direction east, just going clockwise 90. And I don't know why it's redlining that. Oh, it's got to be a vector. Yeah, okay. No, I can't do that because it's got to be static. Okay. Alright. Okay, I know what I want to do. Let's do a bool, then a ref to a vector, an existing vector. Because apparently it's expensive to set the Euler angles or any of the position transform type stuff if it's the same value. So what I can do is check for it to actually be changed. So let's say float new y equals, don't know what it is yet. Okay. But then I'll have to do a float comparison if I do it that way, which is also kind of slow. I don't know, whatever. I really am premature optimizing, and I don't need to. It's hard to distinguish between like the good habits that you might just follow as you go, and they would keep you from accumulating lots of trouble, performance issues down the road, and then the stuff that really is just kind of a waste of time to optimize prematurely. If math APS new y minus rotation y is greater than make it smaller than that here. I'll make it very small if I want. Okay. Otherwise, rotation y equals new y, turn true. I made all this stuff static, which usually is a nice thing, but I keep on finding more and more stuff that I need to pass. That's bringing me down just a little bit. Ah, this is just getting stupid. This is getting stupid. Return. Just be done with this. It's not an important thing to mess with. New vector 3. Okay. So that will give me my new rotation. Set the offset to be that. And that should point my explosion in the cardinal direction that I want it to be. It should also allow me to tweak all the other explosions to be correct for the angle. So let's go back and see what I broke. I must have broke some stuff. I must have. Okay, what are you actually expecting? Direction, I think. Offset transform too. Making explosions, making them brand new from scratch. It's exciting. I'm going to preview this new explosion in just a moment. Okay. It might even work the first time, but it probably won't. It's not working the first time. Oh my god. Alright. Probably a error message. Okay. So line 184. That's what happens when I start doing all kinds of silly refactors. So it was complaining that one of these guys was a null reference. Oh, it's got to be this. It's got to be the offset transform. Alright, so I can refactor a bit, and this time it will help me. So let's say private void init. Problem is I have to write two paths of code here, one for the editor, one for a runtime. There. That seems like some kind of improvement. I don't know if it'll get me past my problem. Waiting for it to finish building. Yes, done building. Waiting for it spinning over here to happen, which means that it has updated the script. Okay. There we go. There we go. There's the explosion. It's a glorified particle effect, but with meshes and I've got pretty precise control over the starting and ending positions of all the particles. So let me try a different direction, see if it will rotate. Nice. Okay. So the particles are vaguely shaped like this character that's off to the right. The idea being that when that guy dies, I'll replace him with this explosion, or put the explosion right where he is, and then animate it to show the type of explosion you're seeing now. So that's all good. I'm getting in better shape to hook this up. And let me try it with the other types too, because this horizontal one may be what I use for smashing somebody against a wall. So that goes north, west, east, south. So far, so good. I see Z fighting. I don't like Z fighting. But that is probably just... I've got a few things underneath here. I just move them up. Oops. Turn off the snapping. Try that again. Okay. So that's quite a few changes, and I feel like updating my prefab. It's a little like saving. I want to make like a good animation for something smashing on top of it. I've got an idea how to do that. Vertical squash. Oh, let's call this a down squash. What's the trample? I kind of like that. Trample. What do I want this one to be like? I think I want it to be like Omni. But Y will always be down. So dy equals just go like this. Okay. Then I want to do a bounds check to have it not go past the floor. So if I say vector 3, if vy less than 0, vy equals 0. That should stop it at the floor. Okay. Pretty curious how this one's going to look. No, I made it go up. I didn't want to do that. I want it to go the opposite way. So we say might do minus dy like that. Yeah. It's not really looking at how I want it to look, if I'm honest. I want it to kind of slam down on the floor. Let me reset there and set the dispersal distance different. So a key thing is probably making something that's like gravity be applied to this. So if I just say that all of them are going to get slammed to the floor, instead of letting some of them float, I think that'll look better. What am I looking at? I mean, it's interesting, but it's not what I wanted. So I'm looking at the position of these guys down here. You're at y equals 0. Oh, you're at negative 0.25. Negative point. Oh. Oh, at some point, like, the definition of what the ground is got changed. Also, it might be like okay, so 0 is no longer down at the ground. It's more like minus 0.5. Okay. Okay. Let's see, let's call this ground y. Belligerent potato. I don't know how you came up with that name. Good evening, if it's evening for you. Float. Wait for the spinny. Am I gonna get the spinny? No. Alright. There. So that's more like getting smashed against the ground. Let me try. So it's C sharp inside of Unity. And I'm making a variety of explosion effects for different ways that my characters in this game can die. So I feel like I need to make that harsher. I just want those particles to slam against the ground. So where is it? 2. Let's just call this gravity. Const float. Gravity. Let's say 5F. And let's take that out and say minus gravity. Okay. Alright. Are you a programmer yourself? Wait, did I get the new change there? Oh yeah. Well, it's definitely fun for some people. Some other people don't like it at all. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. So I could see something landing on top of that guy, and then he just splatters on the ground. It's not bad. Try it from different directions. If I go west, yeah, no worries. Feel free to lurk too. I don't want to be a annoying chatty person if you're just trying to kind of watch and eat. You know, that is at least the start of a decent animation for this type of explosion. I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm alright with it. Which might mean I'm complacent. But it could be refined more later. So now let me see how my coverage is for the different types of things that I want to happen. So this can be cardinal exploding type. This can be trample. To do is basically just the opposite of the trample. Disintegrate from beam. And do in place for that. Walk on spikes can be cardinal. Fling through spikes, cardinal. Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty open to chatting about C#. It doesn't have to be 100% what I'm working on either. So if you end up having a question, yeah, I'm cool to talk about. You bet. Do But yeah, I don't know, I like C#. It's nice. It's not like it doesn't have all the newest language features that are kind of cool, but you can still do quite a bit with it. This could be horizontal slice. Trample. Following the spikes down. This can just be trample again. Maybe Omni. Let's do Omni for that. Yeah, I'm not familiar with either of those. Solo Learn app. I imagine it's like a coding environment. Okay, yeah. Are you doing? Oh, you're in school. You're in school. CIS major. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's a nice way to go. The built-in compiler that could definitely be helpful. Um, there's this other site that myself and some other people use at work called Code Wars, which I don't know. You might be into it later on, but basically, it gives you different problems to solve, and you can pick like which language you want, and C# is one of them. And then when you like write your solution, there's tests that it runs, and they either pass or they don't. And there's kind of like a ranking system where you go up in rank as you solve more challenges. It's kind of fun. But actually, that Solo Learn is it might have some similarities to it. Be more geared towards teaching. Code Wars, yeah. Let me see. Code Wars. Is it codewars.com? Is it codewars.org? I'm bringing up a browser just to. Yeah, it's codewars.com. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Okay. So we get. What's the verb that means hit your head on a ceiling and just get destroyed? I'll call it ceiling bonk. This is not one that I should spend a lot of time on. Let's just flip over the trample one. Okay. So is like a school assignment, or is it like a personal mission quest thing? Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. I don't know too much about using C# for cross-platform stuff, except that Unity has cross-compilers built into it. So if it was something that had like a game like UI, then that it might be well suited to it. But I mean, you could actually make like just regular apps inside of Unity as well. People tend not to, but they could. It does have all the UI widgets and stuff for that. Let's see. Ceiling Y. go back and see where the ceiling position is. Around 0.6. I didn't say 0.5. Okay, then I got to do a little more glue code. Oh, thanks for the host. What does that look like? That's not bad. That would be the guy smashing against the ceiling. That's all good. Now I need to make something like a pool. Yeah, it's my own game. I made some other games in the past, and coming back to it after some years. My day job is not making games. This is a moonlighting project. Let's see. So, I want something like a pool. I can get that with just call this bloater. Save myself a lot of typing. Right. Somehow these pieces have drifted off course. Why? What makes you hesitate? Not saying like you should do it. Actually, my recommendation is career-wise is pick something else. But I'm curious what your reservation is. I got you. Yeah, I mean, you could figure it out though. Um, I do kind of agree. Like if you're starting out to learn a language, it's not the best thing to start with. Like all the visual things. So you might be kind of smart there. The only thing I'm not liking about this is it's really compressed along that one direction there. It really goes left to right a lot. I know why it does. I know why it does. So I used the position. I used the relative position from the center to determine like how fast it would move off in a different direction. Well, I'll be honest with you. So this guy here, I cheated a little bit. I went onto the asset store and I got like existing mesh, right? I do know a fair amount about animation, so a lot of the movements I worked on and got them how I like, as opposed to just using like pre-made stuff. But I mean, I could show you like how the animations work. They've got these state machines, and the state machines, basically each one of these boxes corresponds to one animation clip that plays. And then you go and you look at an individual clip. So if I go and look at, say, pushed is a nice one. Let's look at that one. So there's the animation there, right? So this character has got a skeleton of, you could think of it like a skeleton. The rig is like a skeleton, bones sort of. They define like the connections between like the shoulder to the elbow and to the hands and so on. And in Unity, there's a standard set of these bones, I guess. And once they're in place, then it has muscles that are applied to move the bones in certain ways. I mean, that's their analogy that they used. Obviously, there's not like a true human anatomy type of a thing going on, but like they've got something, for example, to give you an idea why they call it muscles. So, right, lower leg stretch. So instead of them saying you're going to specify the angle of a certain vector, they say the lower leg, you want more stretched or less stretched? And then if I take this and I kind of twist it one way or the other, it makes the leg either extend or contract. And on this little grid here, each row corresponds to one of those muscles, and the columns, they correspond to time. It's called a dope sheet. It's also called a dope sheet in other programs besides Unity. And whenever you see like one of these points there, that's a key where a change is made to the muscles at that point in time. So it's like a player piano. You know, it's got little punches along this time axis where a change is made, where a key is changed, and all together they make a movement. So let's go back to the explosion. Yeah, you know, you get used to it. You get used to doing those types of tasks, and I think it took me maybe half hour to take an existing animation and manipulate it so that it looked like pushing. And I got some experience with animation, so it's not like I'm starting from zero. Okay, so this guy here. The thing I wanted to do was to make it so that the speed of the particles is a little more normalized. They're staying too constrained within the certain area. So if I say got one function that calc center deltas, just oh sure, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. What axis is that? Z. Z ratio. We'll say it's 3. And just multiply this times 3 and see if that gives me something a little more even. Oh yeah. Take a look at that. It's not perfect. It's alright. It's alright. Do I want it to be maybe not quite so fattened out this way? Let's take a look. If I rotate it, it's not bad. In fact, that might be where I want it. Ceiling block. Cardinal. That is the train. I live next to the train tracks. I do not I don't mind it at this point. It's a kind of a normal noise that I tend to not notice. Okay. Check out Omni. No. Yeah, after a while, your brain really filters it. I mean, other things will wake me up, but if it's like in that category of normal sounds, or sounds that I hear frequently, then it won't keep me awake. Okay, this is looking pretty usable. Alright, so now I'll go back and do the thing I said I was going to do, which was make some kind of pool. The idea with a pool is that instead of constantly recreating objects over and over and again, you would take them out of a pool and then return them to the pool. Kind of like a library or something. You just keep reusing the objects that you already created. And this would be an expensive thing to keep creating over and over again. So that's why I want to make a pool for it. Q. Yeah. So if you see anything that is comes from system, that'll be the same type of stuff that is available in the environment that you're in. It'll be like standard C# stuff. Whereas if I pull anything that's from Unity, I mean, it'll not be helpful. But this is all very general purpose stuff. So Q, exploder. I want this to be mono behavior as well. So mono behavior is Unity. And that's all the stuff that ties it into, I don't know, all the visual things about Unity. Let's see. So if I'm thinking about a class or an object that is just pure C#, I'd use the constructor to initialize it. But if I think I'm going to need stuff that comes from like the Unity object it corresponds to, then I have this other method called start. And this one, it says, you know, when the object is created by Unity, that's when I can do stuff with it, or I can have access to the Unity based properties. Well, yeah, like with HTML, I guess if you were going with like the very early HTML, it would be all self-contained. But no, I'm pulling in other packages. So I wanted to use this thing called a queue, and that comes from this package here. So I'm declaring my intent to use it when I say this, and if I don't have that there, then like it's a syntax error. So I haven't thought out the design of this entirely yet. I'm kind of like pushing ahead a little bit, doing the things I know I'll probably almost certainly have to do, but in a moment I'll slow down and count. Take out the constructor. Okay. Alright, so now instead of continuing the code, I'm going to think about my design. Okay, so I want a queue of exploders and things I need to be able to do. Get exploder from the pool, return exploder to the pool. Initially create exploders, and those would not be instanced in the editors, they would be instanced from prefabs. So the count is going to tell me how many exploders I instantiate. But I'll need to have a prefab declared as the pattern. Exploder pattern. Exploder prefab. So here it's complaining about mono behavior not being defined, and I get that by saying using Unity engine. So this stuff is like, that won't help you in the school unless you start using Unity. Let's see. So if I have that there, my main object. I'll add exploder pool to my main object as well. But I really want the number of exploders that I create to match the number of enemies that are in the level. So I might not be doing this the right way yet. Count exploders comes from enemies in the level. Main. Create exploder pool after board loads. Board loader completes. Count of enemies now. pool. Passing. Count of enemies. And the prefab. Okay, this is starting to make sense to me now. I can tell when I've got a bad design. I can just feel things wrong about it. I can tell when my design's probably pretty good. The first thing I chose had some problems with it. So this is going to be exploder pool. Let's remove the script. Okay, main. It'll get public vars for exploder prefabs to use for brawlers, player, and others later. Okay. So I have one exploder pool for each type. Exploder is going to need more stuff too. It's going to need method for setting up, set direction, CRH based location, type of explosion, method for activating, combine these two. Okay, thinking about what returns the exploder to the pool. I mean, basically when it's done, it should go back to the pool. Okay. This, let's say, the method will be called start. Then we get past CRH, direction, explode type, and pool. Set up. Okay, they'll have the call to update. And in the call to update, update animation value. And one all the way to end, return exploder to pool. Hide the exploder. Okay, it's coming together. Explorer pool. And it's not going to be a mono behavior. It doesn't need to be. This can be private. This can be private. constructor. Now it will receive the count of exploders to make and the prefab. And I can actually just make this more specific. I can make it a exploder. That may stop me from having an error in the future. Okay. Then the next thing would be the instance. I've got some other code that does this already, so I'll just take a look at it. Might as well just copy this. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here I don't need at all. Just making sure that I can call this without setting the position and rotation to start. And I can. It's got quite a few options here. Yeah. So I can just instance it, and then I can hide it immediately. That would probably be the best thing to do. So instantiate that. Get rid of all that. there's a way to call this without inheriting from mono behavior. That might do it. Oh wait, there's a generic one? Okay. I put that prefix on there because I like to see clearly what was part of my original level and what's been generated at runtime. Okay. So instead of making this a bunch of sploders, I'll make it game objects. Exploder count. That's looking about right. Okay. So then exploders. Just gonna add all these. Doesn't have to be a queue. I could have just done an array. Yeah, I definitely could just do an array. That's a little bit better. Or even a list is fine if I just create it with the initial capacity. Yeah, let's do a list. Okay. Yeah, even an array is kind of better. Okay, so let's just do game object like that. Because if I do an array, then I can access from the middle of it easily. Exploder's eye equals and I can do this. I can do next I equals 0. Ah, man, I'm just re-implementing a queue. Okay, back to the queue. Back to the queue. Back to the queue. I was going to do some tricky thing where I had 2 indexes going into the array, and I realized that's exactly what the queue is doing. It has NQ and DQ, and they do exactly what I was about ready to write code to do. Might as well use that code instead. Okay, so NQ means put something onto the pool. Or return it to the pool, make it something that's available. And DQ will mean remove it from the pool. It'll be ready to use at that point. So that sets up the pool to start. Going back and forth between using game objects or exploders. Yeah, maybe I should just stick with exploders. Yeah, I think I should. Because that means I'll only have to get their component one time, which is kind of an expensive operation. So if I do that, and this exploder, that might be the exploder pool right there. So in case I accidentally end up adding more exploders to the pool than I originally expected, I want to throw an insertion. No. Less than equals count. Okay. I also want to never have calling code that calls this remove from pool if there's nothing in the pool. That might be okay. It's complicated enough that it feels like maybe I have to do unit tests. But I'm not going to do that right now, especially with 10 minutes till 8. 8 o'clock is usually my stopping time for the session. Exploder pool looks pretty done. So I know what I can try to do in this remaining 10 minutes is I can see if I can just get Dr. Sajima, hello. I'm sure I mispronounce it. Sounds maybe Japanese. I don't know. I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling somewhat accomplished with my coding goals. Arabic, nice. I'm about ready to try one little bit of code to see if it's actually going to work for me. Let's see. Let's go to main. Public. About 25 years. I keep on getting that number wrong because it gets like bigger as I get older. But it was professionally, my first year of coding was 1991. And then when I was a teenager, when I was back in the mid-'80s, I was coding, not professionally. So yeah, it's fairly large, yeah. How about you? Do you write code? Let's see, Bubble Exploder. Oh, okay. The other fellow I was chatting with, Belligerent Potato, is learning C#. Let's see. I want this to be Brawler Exploder prefab. The board loader. Let's see. Let's do create exploders for board. Pass in the board. Pass in also. I'm tired of passing in every single variable. I have a class instance. Create exploders for board. So for me, um, my trade, my career is engineering manager, and then this is a moonlighting project. Yeah, except at work, it's more like planning out projects and people. And so I do more coding when I get home and work on my own project. So let's see. Board, piece groups. Reactants. Why would you convert an integer value to a double? So it would depend on what you were going to do with that variable later on. A double is it's a variable type that would give you floating point capabilities. So floating point, that's like a decimal point value. You did something like a management or account. Systems engineering. Well, okay. That's a cousin of programming for sure. Well, Dr. Sajima, what do you do now for a living? Aha. If I may ask, what's your new degree going to be for? Psychology. So it's a fair amount different than what you did before. I would say totally different. Maybe that's probably a good thing. Oh, all right, potato. Nice. Let's see. Board. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it's a lot of work to go get a degree, for sure. Okay. So let me see, spoiler pool. There we go. Now I really just want to see if this thing works before I knock off. You know, I didn't get that far with it, but I think I like learning stuff. I just don't like learning stuff in the structure of a college. Int age equals convert to int 32. Oh, okay. Okay. So all right. So on the first line, potato, it's taking the value that's returned from console read line, which is going to be a string, and then it's converting that to an integer value when it assigns it to the age variable. And that's necessary for the next line to work, where it puts the age variable inside of a string. Okay. All right. Did it build? It built. But it's not going to work yet because I have to go to main and set the new sploder. There it is. Okay. So pull this prefab into here. This is the pattern for the script to use in creating new instances of the explosions. So now I should be ready to set my debugger and just check out if it actually is going to work. And this will, if it does work, it'll be kind of just a under the hood type of a success. It won't actually have any visual indication of its success. That's why I'm setting the debugger, so I can walk through it. Okay. So I expect reactant count to be something like 5 or something like that. 6. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to go into new code. I give this a 41% chance of working the first time. Actually, I think you're right, Potato. I think I misspoke when I said it was required for that 0 to be an integer. Although it would be curious though, like if you changed that line where it says int age equals console read line, if you made it string age equals console read line, would it work or not? If it did, then, and that's the whole program, then there might not be much point to that 2int 32. Here's where it's very likely to fail, but it looks like I got the right stuff. Okay. Hide the game object. It might work. It might work the first time. Okay, so enqueued. I think it's going to work. My exploder pool, it should have 6 members. Yep. The count might not be right. Huh. Kind of curious. Line 1. Shift enter maybe? Oh, I think I can do it. Nope. I tried it just now. So when you type in the send a message thing, you do Shift Enter, it actually makes a line break. But then, like you say, yep. Okay, cool. So now I want to go back and see. Well, nothing here is going to be different. I'm just being self-indulgent now. Okay, but I do want to see, did it create those game objects? And I just have to take off the maximize so I can view it. Also, I didn't leave them around, did it? They don't quite mirror the actions. They beeline for you, and a lot of times that beelining looks like mirroring. The other thing that is kind of hard to see is that they actually move after you do, but visually it looks like they do exactly the same thing as you. And I might want to adjust the animation so that they actually look like they're reacting to you a little more. So they're just beelining for me, right? Oh, this is the thing that I wanted to see. So these objects over here are basically my explosions getting ready to be activated. So I'm glad to see that they're there. But so if I move west, this guy here, he'll move in the same direction as me to basically get closer to me, but he's reacting to me. So all these guys are just trying to close the distance towards me, but movements are always one entire square. It's like if you played chess with somebody and they moved completely fast without any delay, then it would sort of be the same effect. So I didn't get, on this session, which I'm going to end pretty quick, I didn't get the explosions entirely hooked up, but I did like all the hard parts. I think I did all the hard parts, so that means when I come back to this tomorrow evening, I should be able to take my pool of explosions and start assigning them to things that need them when they die. So these guys, when I kill them, they'll have that animated effect that I was playing with earlier. So looking forward to coming back to this tomorrow. And Panda, not Panda, there's another guy named Panda. Belligerent Potato, Dr. Sajima, it was nice having you hang out with me. Hope you come back another time and talk to you some more. See you all now. You too.